أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ قال إبراهيم لأبيه آزر أتتخذ أصناما آلهة إني أراك وقومك في ضلال مبين وكذلك نري إبراهيم ملكوت السماوات والأرض وليكون من الموقنين فلما جن عليه الليل رأى كوكبا قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لا أحب الآفلين فلما رأى القمر بازغا قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لئن لم يهدني ربي لأكونن من القوم الضالين فلما رأى الشمس بازغة قال هذا ربي هذا أكبر فلما أفلت قال يا قوم إني بريء مما تشركون إني وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا وما أنا من المشركين صدق الله العظيم. These are verses from Surah Al-An'am 74 until the completion of 79. They walk us through a conversation that Ibrahim ﷺ has with one of his elders. The Quran says, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لِأَبِيهِ آزَرَ. And remember, this word إِذ takes us back in time. It pulls us out of the present and takes us to this early phase of Ibrahim ﷺ's childhood, when he has a conversation with his father Azar. Some Mufassirun have said that this Azar was actually his father's older brother. Yet the Quran refers to him as لِأَبِيهِ because culturally, you see people refer to their father's older brother as their father. In our culture as well, you refer to the Taya, the older brother, as Bade Abba, my greater father, someone of great respect. Regardless, Ibrahim ﷺ is having this conversation with one of his elders, his father or his uncle. And his conversation here is him untangling contradicting thoughts playing out in front of his eyes. On one side, there is a cultural thought, and then there is an observational one that he's seeing with his own naked eyes. One narrative is God has helpers. God can't do everything alone. God needs someone to assist him with X, Y, and Z. But see, children are smart. Children, they see things the way they are, and they call it the way it is. If you want a hypocrisy detector, go to a child and ask them for feedback. They will speak their heart. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he's just looking at the world through his naked eye. He's interacting with the world with his raw senses. And he's asking hard, tough questions, not to humiliate or to confuse, but to gain clarity. So he asks away from Allah, from the people, that I see the signs of Allah playing out in front of me. Who brings this moon to the skies? Who allows the sun to rise? Who is greater than the stars? If these stars were the final message, then they wouldn't disappear. If the moon was the final God, it wouldn't disappear. If the sun was the one entity that we owe our souls to, it would always be with us. Why does it leave me in the hours of the night? So Ibrahim alayhi salam in his heart finds Tawheed, that oneness of Allah, which is innately built into every human being. Shirk, polytheism, isn't natural. Tawheed is natural. Therefore, the Arabic poet very eloquently says, وَفِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ لَهُ آيَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَى أَنَّهُ وَاحِدٌ. That in everything in this universe, there is a sign, an indication that there is only one Allah. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he's on this journey and he's trying to understand, who is my God? On one side he says, La uhibbul afilin. I don't like a God that disappears on me, right? And then he sees the sun and people worshiping the sun, and then the sun disappears. Inni bari'u mimma tushrikun. How can my God disappear on me? The moon is gone. He says, لَإِن لَمْ يَهْدِنِي رَبِّي لَأَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. If my God, if my Allah, my true Rabb doesn't guide me, I'll get caught with these false idols. So he ends his search for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these verses. Verse number 79, إِنِّي وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ حَنِيفًا وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. I turn my face to the one who created the heavens and the earth. That's who I turn to. Hanifan is the word here, which is fascinating. Hanifan means to turn away from all deviating paths and focus on one goal. My teacher used to translate this just like that. He would say, Sab taraf se kat kar ek Allah ka hokar rehne wala. The one who cuts away from all distractions, who turns away from every other call and is focused just on their Allah. وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. I am not one who makes partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibrahim alayhi salam was to be a great prophet, but Tawheed existed in his heart from his early childhood. Ibrahim alayhi salam's intelligence is witnessed throughout his life, and the Quran walks us through the intellectual growth. How Ibrahim alayhi salam wasn't afraid to have conversations, even if it was difficult. Because the following verse, Allah Azza wa Jal tells us, وَحَاجَّهُ قَوْمُهُ قَالَ تُحَاجُّونِي فِي اللَّهِ وَقَدْ هَدَانِ. He started the conversation with his father, but then ended up discussing this entire matter with his entire tribe, with everyone. وَحَاجَّهُ قَوْمُهُ. His tribe came to argue with him. He said, أَتُحَاجُّونِي فِي اللَّهِ وَقَدْ هَدَانِ. Are you debating and arguing with me after Allah guided me? وَلَا أَخَافُ. And I have no fear. مَا تُشْرِكُونَ بِهِ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ رَبِّي شَيْئًا. With what you create partners and establish partners with Allah, except for what Allah wills. وَسِعَ رَبِّي كُلَّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge encompasses all. أَفَلَا تَتَذَكَّرُونَ. Do you not take a lesson? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to learn from these beautiful lessons the strength, courage, knowledge, wisdom, observation of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam as a child. And as we continue with the story, many lessons will open up. Many opportunities for us to look into his life, peek into his life, and then bring those lessons back into ours will present themselves. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to follow the legacy of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam.